Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. I'm Frugal Granny and my name is Ali. I'm a semi-retiree who's 64 and a half years old, maybe a month older than a month ago, and I'm documenting my journey from full-time employment in an office job plus a part-time job in a supermarket to being semi-retired, continuing my supermarket job and trying to get through the next 2 years until I get my state pension. Right now I am 4 weeks in from having left the office job. 3 of those weeks have been annual leave, and this week has been, or is still, the first week when I have been officially free from that job. So we'll reflect on that a bit in a minute. But first of all, I just want to thank you all for coming back if you're a regular viewer. I did sort of throw out a rhetorical question last week or last time saying I didn't know quite why you all kept coming back, and I've had the most amazing raft of incredible comments, and I really wasn't asking for those, but I just want to thank you because it's been so affirming actually, and it's I feel quite overwhelmed and almost realise that I have, well, not a burden of responsibility, but there's obviously more going on with this channel than just me talking about my journey and my money. And that's quite heavy actually, and I'm still sort of thinking that through. But I'm just going to keep being me, and you just keep being you, and I'm sure we're all just going to be fine. And also, if you're here for the first time, welcome. You're very, very welcome. We do basically talk about how I'm getting on financially with my journey. There are some practical aspects, and sometimes there's a little bit of fun along the way. I mean, I'm hoping there's going to be more fun along the way than there has been, because I will be quite honest, the last few months since I made the decision to quit my office job really have been quite tough. Some of you who have been following along have noticed how much more relaxed I've seemed this week since the office job is officially over, and I think that's actually true. I do feel different. I do feel that, you know, that weight is sort of finally lifted, and I really do enjoy having my time mainly to myself now to get on with what I want to do. So today, Thursdays, we usually do a coffee and catch up, and today is coffee and catch up 8. And there are a few things I just want to catch you up on. First of all, I just want to thank all of those people who've bought me a coffee this week. I went into the email account associated with Frugal Granny and found a raft of notifications from Buy Me a Coffee saying that various people had been incredibly generous. So I want to thank Donna and Karen, Karina, Marita, and also I want to thank Bunno Bear, Mel, again for another super thanks. Thank you very, very much, all of you. You really don't have to do that, and I'm just super touched by it. I really am, but thank you so much, and those gifts are going to be quite helpful, I think, this month and going into next month, as there's quite a lot going on, and it's just at the time when money's going to be getting a little bit tighter. What else has happened since Monday? Well, on Monday I was talking to you about the allocation of my final payslip from my job, and I went through that line by line, and I was quietly rejoicing about the fact that my office job had decided to reimburse me for 3 days of salary sacrificed annual leave that I had bought before I decided to retire. And that money, I thought, great, that's going to pay for the extra that the contractor who's working on my house is going to need for the things that I asked him to do on top of what was in the estimate. So I was like feeling really upbeat about that. And then as the day went on, I just thought, you know, I'm really not sure about this. I think something's gone wrong somewhere. I'm sure I've actually had those 3 days leave. So I emailed HR at the office job. I copied in my old manager and said, look, I'm not sure this is right or not. And my manager's got back to me and said, yeah, you have taken 3 days leave. There were some other things. I mean, there was something she thought I should have done, and there was something I thought she should have done. So something about logging my last day and the annual leave I've just taken at the end of my job fell between two stools. So HR thought that I hadn't had these 3 days, which is why they asked payroll to reimburse me. So effectively, I've got to end up, I think, paying that £211 and some pennies back to my employer. But I'm going to wait until they ask for it, mainly because I don't know how to pay it back until they tell me how, when and where. So effectively that £211 is acting as a short-term loan at the moment, which, I mean, I have paid it to my contractor, but I will pay that back to my employer if and when they get back to me about that. I need to be able to live with myself going forward, and I just thought that unless I contacted my manager and HR and got this sorted out, I was never going to be able to look you guys in the face straight again. So anyway, I'll update you on what they say about that, but at the moment it looks like the £211 has got to go back to my office employer, and I'm probably going to have to dig into the money I put aside for the buffer fund to pay them back. But it will be okay, because I think I've put some money aside from my last supermarket pay, and I put some money aside from the last YouTube income, and so effectively that 211 can come out of there. It just means I've got half as much in the buffer fund as I thought I had, but it will be okay. That's absolutely fine. But I just wanted to update you on that because my rejoicing was short-lived. Right, other things that have happened. The reason I recorded Monday's video a little bit earlier was because my contractor was coming back on Monday just to do the last bits and bobs, and I really didn't want to be under time pressure to get a video recorded. So he came back on Monday, and he cleaned all the windows, polished off any dust that had settled on the woodwork, put the letterbox back on, basically all those last bits and bobs, and he's gone. And yesterday the scaffolders came and took the scaffolding down, and I spent half an hour in the front yard pulling out weeds, and it's now all looking nice and neat and tidy. And tomorrow, when I've got a bit of time, I need to sort out the pots that I've got round the back of the house and decide which ones are going round the front. What I wanted to do briefly today is just tell you how much that renovation has cost me. Well, the crazy thing is I made a bit of a mistake when I read the estimate. I mean, the original estimate, when I looked at it, said that this work was going to cost me £3,564.86, and I thought, yeah, that's a lot. It's probably twice as much as I would have as I paid last time I had the front of the house painted. But this time the guy has taken everything back down to the woodwork. He has cut out anything that's rotten. He's replaced it. He's replaced the end of one of the fretwork barge boards. He took out the rotten finial that we've talked about before. He's put a new finial up. He's cleaned out all of my gutters. He's painted the downpipes a beautiful matte black. They look like cast iron. They're absolutely gorgeous. He's done a really, really good job, and I'm hoping that this is going to last longer than the 5 to 7 years that you would usually leave before you repaint a house again. That was the idea, to get the whole thing bottomed, as we would say up north. Get it bottomed out, done properly, so that, you know, it's going to last me going forward. So I was really happy with £3,500. But I did not read the estimate right. The scaffolding was extra. So I've had to find an extra £500 because the scaffolding was £500, and I paid that before the work started. And when I got the final estimate, I opened it, I looked at it, and the total that was due was there. And I said, surely that's a bit much. I thought I'd given you £500 for the scaffolding. He said, oh yeah, that was separate. And I don't know how I did it, but I just kept a totally straight face and just said, okay, that's fine. Don't worry, you'll have your money by the end of the day. Thank you so much for doing such a good job. And then he left, and I was like, what am I going to do? I have two options. I either empty my personal savings or I emptied my emergency fund. And in the end, I decided to empty my personal savings. So that's what I've done. My accessible personal savings is now down to £43.30. But anyway, it's done. And the additional work completed, which was what that £200 was for, came in at 200, just as he said. And it's all done, paid in full. But there you go. Oh my goodness, that is just really, yeah, well, there we go. At least now that that's paid, and also with the final payslip, I've transferred everything into my sinking funds. I've done everything. The only thing that hasn't happened is I've not been able to get money out of the cash point, because the cash point at the supermarket, can you believe it, has been down for the last 2 days. And to be honest with you, that is why I like to keep a little bit of cash, because if the ATM or cash point goes down, then you've actually got some money. I've got to get the £30 out. I'll have another go today or tomorrow. The other thing, I haven't put the £25 in my car for petrol yet, but I'll probably do that today or tomorrow. The money for Amazon Prime has not moved to my main credit card yet, but that won't happen for a little bit. But that money's there waiting for it when that happens. So everything's rationalised. This is the state of play now. What I've got is what I've got to go forward, and that's really where I was hoping to be. I've got there at last. I now know what I've got to work with, and what I'm going to have to do going forward. I must admit, I'm a little bit worried about the food budget for this month, because I bought that gift card ahead of time to take advantage of staff payday weekend discount, and out of that £100, I think I've only got £22 left already, and it's what? July the 3rd. Anyway, I've still got another £90 put aside for weeks 3 and 4, and I've got my freezers, and I'm going to be eating through those. So I've been sat there thinking about, when my family's here. I've got my family here for a week towards the end of the month, and I mean, I've got 4 adult kids, and I think on one weekend they're all going to be here with their partners, so there's going to be 9 adults and 2 children. So by the end of July, I'm really hoping that my freezers will be considerably eaten through. So there's going to have to be some creative cooking. Right, so what other things have happened this week? Well, the real biggie for me, and this has been really exciting, is I booked into the local Apple store to do a workshop called Get to Grips with Your iPad, or Introduction to iPad or something. And I did that on Tuesday morning, and I mean, it's a bit of a trek from where I live to get to an Apple store. So this was a big deal for me, because I don't like driving distances. But I left myself plenty of time, which I'm glad I did, because there was traffic. And I got there, and I went in and I said, hi, I'm here for the iPad workshop. Turns out I'm the only person on the workshop. So I effectively got an Apple technician for an hour all to myself. Well, that was fantastic, because he talk me through various things to do with the iPad, because I really have no idea. I'm not an Apple user or a Mac user. I've never had an iPhone. And then I explained to him that I'm a new creator on YouTube and I'm having problems editing videos. Would he please talk me through iMovie? So I had a whole half an hour introduction to iMovie all on my own, where I was able to sort of ask him about, how do you do this? How do you do that? Oh, look, isn't that amazing? Oh, I always wondered how they did that. Oh, now I know how. Oh, this is great. And yeah, I came away really, really buzzing. But I will be honest with you, I've not had time. I have not had time to sort of go in there and play with it yet. I'm hoping over the next couple of days I'm going to have time to sit down and see how it works. He has said to me, if you want to come back for another iPad workshop, do that. It won't hurt to reinforce what you've already been told. And I think in silent brackets there was, the likelihood of you being the only person is pretty high. So I will be doing that at some point. But as I said, I've got family for a week. In actual fact, the whole family stuff is almost going to eat up 2 weeks of July, so I can't really do another workshop until right at the end of the month. Part of me is like thinking, oh my goodness, this is so obvious. Why did I not see this or know this before? And he just said, don't worry about it. If you don't know what questions to ask, or you've got no one to ask, then how can you know? And in actual fact, though, I'm really grateful that the journey I've been on has unfolded the way it has, because I think if I'd been presented with iMovie right at the beginning, I think I would have felt a little bit overwhelmed and maybe not even started at all. So those are two big things that have happened this week. The renovation is technically over, and I've been on this iMovie workshop, iMovie workshop, which has enlightened me incredibly. Yes, the other thing I wanted to tell you, we've had a lot of heavy wind here over the last few days, but because it's been quite sunny, I've had the parasols up in my garden, and you're gonna laugh. I've moved my parasols to shade the broccoli plants for as much of the day as I can. Well, there was a big gust of wind while I was eating my lunch yesterday, and the parasol came toppling forward, and I just thought, oh, I'm just going to finish my lunch. I'll pick it up in a minute. They're always falling over. And as I was sat there, because I hadn't got my glasses on, I saw these little sort of white things sort of floating past the window, and I thought, oh, isn't that pretty? The jasmine flowers are blowing in the wind. And I didn't think any more about it. And then after I'd finished my lunch, I went outside to pick up the parasol, and I was absolutely horrified as what had happened. I have this outdoor beanbag. It's a big red beanbag. It's an outdoor beanbag with waterproof cover. Kitty likes to sit in the sun on it. Well, the parasol had fallen over, and one of the struts that holds the canopy bit of the parasol had pinged straight into the beanbag and pierced the fabric, and it had torn, and all those little white jasmine flowers that I thought were blowing by were in actual fact polystyrene beads. My whole patio was covered in polystyrene beads, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, what the heck am I going to do if I don't get these now? The whole garden is going to be covered in polystyrene beads. So the first thing I thought is, let's just try and stop any more beads coming out of this thing. So there I was trying to duct tape up this beanbag, and it wouldn't. It just would not stick. So then I'm thinking, have I got a polythene bag big enough to get this in? No, I hadn't. And all this time, beads are coming out and the wind's blowing them. And then I suddenly thought that in the wash house, I'd got a contractor-sized dump bag that some firewood had come in last summer that I was saving to give back to the firewood guy this summer. So I went in there, got that out, and managed to get the bean bag into this dump bag, only to realise that the dump bag has got a few holes in the bottom too. and the beans were coming out of there. So I upended it a bit, and I managed to duct tape up all the holes at the bottom of the contractor bag. Thankfully, the duct tape stuck to that. And then, you're really going to laugh now, I got my handheld Dyson Animal vacuum cleaner out, which, mind you, my contractor had borrowed to hoover up paint dust inside the sash windows, and I didn't realise how much dust and stuff was in it. So I cleaned it immaculately yesterday morning, and then there I am in the afternoon outside hoovering my patio with my immaculately clean Dyson vacuum cleaner. I'd got the the nozzle bit on, and I put it on low power, and that was great because it was enough suction to suck up the polystyrene balls without sucking up grit and gravel. So I worked from the left to the right because the wind was blowing from left to right, and thankfully most of the beads had sort of accumulated in the far right corner underneath the chimenea. But anyway, I systematically worked my way across the patio. I mean, I got a knife and dug them all out of the cracks, but then I've got this French drain around the right hand side of the patio that's full of pea shingle. And so I had to sort of put the nozzle into the pea shingle, and I'm hoovering through the pea shingle, trying not to hoover up rocks, but just get the polystyrene balls. I think I was out there for about half an hour, honestly, and then trying to empty it into the wheelie bin without them all sort of blowing up and all blowing across the garden again. But some of them went under the tomatoes in the plant house, and I couldn't quite get them, and I thought, well, at some point I might bring my hairdryer down and see if I can just blow those polystyrene beads out from underneath the plant house and then hoover them up. But honestly, if anyone had seen me out there with that hoover with the nozzle chasing these polystyrene beads, I mean, you wonder what I'm doing with my time now I'm retired. Well, things like that, yeah. So tomorrow I've got to try and get that dump bag into my car, and I've got to take that to the tip. And I thought, while I'm doing that, I'll take the contractor bags to the tip. And then I've got another contractor bag with a bit of mortar in it. And that was the other thing that happened this week. I asked the painting contractor, would he go round the back, put his ladder up against the back gutter where those chimney cowboys had let mortar that from the repointing slip down the roof and accumulate in the back gutter. And I don't think he believed me when I said they had filled my gutter with mortar. But when he came down and with all this stuff in a bucket, he said, it was full to the brim. I said, I know, that's why I wanted you to go and take it out. Well, I've kept it as evidence, and next time we do a garden tour, I will open that particular rubble bag and I will show you. I'm going to take the old finial as well to the tip and the broken toaster. And the reason I've got to get rid of all that is because in 2 Sundays' time, the son who lives in London is bringing me quite a bit of his stuff from his flat because he's downsizing, and so I'm getting some of his stuff to keep in my spare room. But while the removal men here, I've got now you're even going to laugh again, I've got a large piece of industrial workshop equipment in my sitting room behind my sofa, which Kitty sits on top of. It's got cushions and a rug on it. It's in the bay window, the sofa's in front of it. And I've just said that while those removal men are here, I have 2 men who are insured to lift. I want them to lift that piece of machinery out of my sitting room and put it in the wash house. I've cleared a space in the wash house, and then that will mean that I've got my front room back to myself. So it's another reason why I've got to go to the tip, because I need to move all that stuff away from the back gate so these guys can get through the back gate to carry this piece of machinery into the wash house. And once that's in the wash house, I can then order the firewood and stack my firewood around it. So that's me this week. On Saturday, I'm going to talk you through my spending for June. I may have to do some recording ahead of time for July, what with my family being here. Otherwise, we might have some sort of covert videoing sessions in the middle of the night in the back room downstairs, which is probably where I'm going to be sleeping for a week. But anyway, it's been really nice to see you. And I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about those polystyrene balls. Anyway, I will talk to you again on Saturday, and we will completely round off June, and then we will move onwards the way we intend to go on. I will talk to you soon. Okay then, bye-bye. Kitty, do you want to come and say hello quickly? Come on. And for those of you who want to see Kitty, here she is. You say hello, Kitty. Give Mummy a kiss. Oh, you're such a kitty love. She's a kitty love, isn't she? Yeah, she's looking worried again. Yeah, go back on your pillow. Yeah, you want to go back on your pillow, don't you? What's that on your face? Okay, go on then. Off you go. Right, I'll talk to you on Saturday. Bye-bye now.